So, for 2025, the next Beatles project is Anthology. We're getting the documentary series, all 8 episodes, plus a bonus 9th episode. We have Anthologies 1, 2, and 3 getting remastered, which accidentally got published on the Beatles YouTube page too early. And we have Anthology 4. But Anthology 4 is a little bit strange. And you might be asking, what's so strange about it? Anthology 4 has 13 previously unreleased outtakes, mostly on Disc 1. On Disc 2, however, most of the outtakes come from the Super Deluxe versions of the White Album, Abbey Road, Let It Be, Then Real Love, and Free as a Bird, remixed by Jeff Lynne, alongside Now and Then. Anthology 4 only having 13 previously unreleased outtakes, well, most people see it as a bust. They feel ripped off, which is something John Lennon probably would not have liked. So for today's video, I wanted to chime in with some alternatives for what an Anthology 4 album could be. Helping me is the Beatles recording sessions by Mark Lewison, who wrote down session notes for the various outtakes of every song that the Beatles did. So with that, let's start with the first 2 on Disc 1. The first 2 tracks are from the Beatles Bootleg Recordings 1963 album. Technically an exclusive to Apple Music, I figured because these 2 tracks are technically already released, I'd try to give new alternatives. The alternatives for this case go for There's a Place, Take 1, the first song they actually recorded in 1963 at EMI, and George's song, Don't Bother Me, Take 10. I figured we need some more George representation, so I chose these 2 at best. The next track is a composite outtake technically, outtakes 10, 11, 12, and 13, though on the Free as a Bird EP, it's just stated as taken from takes 12 and 13. I figured I'd change this to either a take of This Boy with a guitar solo that was supposed to be in the middle 8s, or I Want to Hold Your Hand, take 4, which is where they introduced the Beatle huh sound, like in Say, for example. Ignoring the new tracks, the next 2 come from the Revolver Super Deluxe set, Got to Get Through to My Life, and Love You Too. I decided to change these into Taxman Take 4 from April 20th. As revealed in the book, there's a lot of discussion on the tape about how the instrumentation should go, which originally was going to be on Anthology 2, and Here, There, and Everywhere Take 4, from June 14th, which was faster than what they recorded the next day, on June 15th. Next, the Sgt. Pepper's tracks. Replacing Strawberry Fields Forever and She's Living Home, I decided to put Lovely Rita on there, as it's not a very common Beatles song that you hear talked about. And of course, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, a rehearsal, so I figured for this track, it would be the rehearsal from February 28th, at least the audio that wasn't wiped. That's our final track list for Disc 1. Disc 2, on the other hand, is a little different. Skipping over Hey Bulldog because that's the new song, the next 7 tracks come from the White Album Deluxe set, which is a bit much, don't you think? Well, I decided to get a little creative on this one. Our first one is Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except Me and My Monkey, because on the Super Deluxe edition, it just has a rehearsal. Following that is Obladi Oblada. On Anthology 3, we have Take 5, but on here, I also included an outtake from July 8th, which is when they first remade the song. Following that, we have 2 jams coming from the I Will session, Down in Havana and The Way You Look Tonight, which have been bootlegged for a long time. So I figured this would be the way to canonize these songs as official Beatles songs. The next tracks, Birthday, Long Long Long, and the continuing story of Bungalow Bill, like Lovely Rita, aren't talked about as much, so I figured I'd put them on here. The next tracks come from the Let It Be Super Deluxe set. I decided to get a little creative here. First, we have I Lost My Little Girl and Love Me Do from the Apple Studios. Those 2 are very early songs in the Beatles' career, and it's quite interesting to see how they sing those songs. The next 3 tracks come from the Abbey Road Deluxe set. You Never Give Me Your Money, Here Comes the Sun, and Something. All 3 of which are very good, but I figured we need some more Abbey Road sessions, man. So I decided on a few interesting ones. There's Oh Darling, Take 7, which that would lead into the jam of the Joe South song, Games People Play by John. Then we have Here Comes the Sun, Take 4, with Ringo's ending comment about turning it down. Though I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't mention Who Slapped John and Bebopalula, the jams that followed Ain't She Sweet during the Sun King session. And the final song from the Let It Be sessions would be the jam of Peggy Sue Got Married into I Made Mine Take 12. And that we have the final track listing, finishing off with Free as a Bird and Real Love, the 2025 mixes, and Now and Then. So, what unreleased tracks would you want released instead of the already released tracks on Anthology 4? Would you put only a few repeat tracks, or would you want it to consist fully of new content, considering that some of the Super Deluxe editions reuse some of the tracks from the Anthology series? So I just want to hear what you think. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
There's a place. Take one. Here we go.
So, 2, 3, 4.
Let's get this short on the road.
Okay, Joe, go ahead. It was a joke anyway.